My name is Maya.
And welcome to part 3 of our virtual wedding series where we tell you how we actually plan it, the tech that we use especially. In this episode we're focusing on the tech, right?
You just said that.
I'm really excited today. We outside, it's hot.
Okay, so hopefully you have watched part 1 and part 2 of our series.
And if you didn't, go back to part 1 and part 2.
Yes, we will actually just put the links right here. So you can actually go back and watch those. In part 1, we talked about why we decided to have a virtual wedding. In part 2, we talked about how we planned our wedding in 2 weeks. So we actually got our meeting with the city clerk, and we were able to get our marriage license that way. And then we said, oh shoot, we got 2 weeks to plan this wedding, because we didn't, up until that point, know that it was actually going to happen. And here we are at part 3. And so we're gonna tell you about the technology, which we're actually using right now.
Yeah.
And we're kind of freestyling this thing.
Yeah.
So
let's see where it goes.
Let's start off by talking about the 2 platforms that we use. So
the first platform that we use is called StreamYard. And we use StreamYard specifically for the ceremony. And we love StreamYard because we wanted to make sure that the wedding was intimate, but now none of Maya's aunties and nephews could run through the screen, right? So StreamYard allowed us to actually...
How you gonna come for my family in this video though?
I love y'all.
Wow, that's crazy.
So we use StreamYard to create an intimate atmosphere. And StreamYard is so cool because it uses, you can invite different participants. So we invited one of Maya's friends to do the prayer for us and things like that as well too. And it allows you to have a lot of customization features for only $25. So for example, we ran banners across the screen. We had people's name tags come up, different transitions. We have backgrounds. So all of those things StreamYard gave us for simply $25. What should I add about the StreamYard, Maya?
I mean, I think, okay, first of all, one of the things about StreamYard that's important to note is that you are going to be streaming.
Oh, yes.
Because I didn't know anything about this, but you're going to be streaming to either YouTube or Facebook. I don't think Instagram is one of the platforms that you can stream to. So what will happen is your guests will have a link, and when they click on that link, they'll be directed to YouTube or they'll be directed to Facebook, whichever one you choose. We chose YouTube. So our guests, our family members and friends had a YouTube link that they went to, and when they go to that link, they're just sort of waiting on you to start broadcasting your wedding if you are, using it for your wedding. So what we did is you can actually work in the broadcast studio, which is what it's called on StreamYard, to set up your experience. So we pre-planned all of the banners, we pre-planned the tickers that ran across the stream, the people who were actually running our wedding, so the pastor, us, of course,
our friends.
One of our friends who was actually going to do a prayer on the wedding, he was also in the broadcast studio, and so we had our rehearsal in the broadcast studio before we ever did the wedding, and that gave us an opportunity to sort of see what it would be like, what would it feel like for our guests before we ever started to stream to YouTube. And then on the day of the wedding, everyone met back up in the broadcast studio, so it was just us, the pastor, my friend who did a prayer for us, which we'll show you throughout this video what that kind of looks like, and that's it. So, and as Mark so rudely put it, one of the reasons why we chose to stream our wedding instead of having it on a Zoom is because there's a sacredness that we wanted to keep.
Facts, yeah.
We wanted people to feel like they were a part of it, but we didn't want someone not being on mute to interrupt our wedding, or someone wanting to interact with us, but if we went with the webinar mode on Zoom, they wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
So StreamYard has so many features that allow you to feel like you're there with your audience, but you're not really there at the same time.
What I loved about it as well too is the fact that we were able, like on YouTube, to make it private, right?
Yeah.
So only if you had the link you could come. So we didn't have to worry about anybody crashing. So it was although it was on YouTube, it wasn't for the public, and it was still very intimate.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
Definitely. All right, so another thing that we can talk about, again, y'all, this is all over the place, it's a casual conversation, is our wedding invitations.
Yes. So there was 2 links for the invitation, right, on the Canva. One was for the ceremony, and the other one was for the actual reception. So it was so detailed. So all you had to do when you got this email that Maya sent, like 2 nights before, was to click the invite to the StreamYard, and boom, you were at the wedding. And then after the wedding, you had the reception.
Yes.
And then all you had to do was click that, and it took you immediately to the Zoom.
Yeah. So, which leads us to the second platform that we used, which was Zoom. We used Zoom for the reception because we wanted a more intimate experience than the wedding.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, you know, the pastor's involved. We're saying our vows. We don't want to be interrupted or distracted during our wedding ceremony. We'd rather people just sort of watch.
Yeah.
But for the reception, you know, you want to see your friends, you want to see your family members, you want to talk to people, you want it to feel like an actual reception. So Zoom allowed us to do that. The first thing to note about having our reception on Zoom is the guest list, which we talked about in part 2. So I recommend you go back and watch that. So that is how we monitor who came into the Zoom. One of the other features of both the reception and the ceremony is that we did not use the camera inside of the computer.
Right.
So what we did is we researched how do you use a DSLR camera for your, I don't know what it's called.
As a display screen?
Yeah, as a display screen, I guess. Basically, essentially, when you're on your laptop and you're on a work meeting, that quality is not the quality that we want.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be top-notch quality, and we had access to a DSLR camera. We're actually using the Sony A700 right now. 3i right now, which allowed us to sort of make it look more like a production, like production quality, versus just laptop quality. Also, too, it gives you a greater depth when you use a DSLR camera on a tripod versus using your computer laptop, because you kind of keep moving that.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, all we have to do is sort of zoom in and zoom out.
Right.
And we had someone setting up the camera and making sure the camera was okay. So that's how we figured out that you will need a capture card.
Yes, you will. Yes, we will.
You will need a capture card.
And we'll drop a link for that as well, too.
We'll drop a link to the capture card that we're using. We're using the Aver Media capture card for our wedding. You just hook it up to your laptop, hook it up to your DSLR camera, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
So that your quality is a little bit better.
Again, so this isn't really like an in-depth tech review. Mine are not like Geek Squad, right? We're making this video especially because if we could figure this out, you could figure this out as well, too.
Lighting is also very important for the reception and your ceremony if you're doing this virtually. At first, we were going to rely on natural light only. So the place where we actually held our wedding, we made sure, you know, to do things like keep the door open, position ourselves through the light from the window so that we have a lot of natural light flowing on us, but we did require some actual light.
And we got lucky. Let me tell you, when God is in the picture, you can do anything.
Yes.
We didn't plant that extra lighting, but my pastor, who was the officiant at our wedding, is always carrying some production material. So we used his lights and set it up, and then you'll kind of see it as well too when we drop the picture right here. We have lights that kind of just help the aesthetics of everything as well too. Yes,
and I will say this, you know, especially for black people or people of color, people with darker skin tones watching this video, when it comes to lighting, one of the things that we've definitely learned throughout this process is that the more warm lights actually work better for people who are darker complected, right? Because I don't want to, you know, assume that everybody cut that out. Yeah, so the warmer lights look better for people who are darker complected, and also like natural light. So like we're doing this video right now, we're outside, we're in the sun looks really good on our skin. That fluorescent
it sure does, baby.
Light,
it look good on your skin, girl.
That fluorescent light is a no-go for me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna speak for myself. It might work for you. But that fluorescent light is not what's up.
Yeah, thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to our invitations, again, everything was made through Canva, right? Canva allowed us to not only make beautiful invitations, but also allowed us to match our decor with the invitations as well too, which helped a lot.
Yeah,
right? And again, we'll give a link to that as well too. But that also helped. This was all do it ourselves, and it worked out perfectly fine. You singing, Maya?
No.
So that brings us to the end of our wedding series. Please like, share, subscribe. We're doing a lot more videos. We are going to show you a little about what we do in the future. But yeah, thank you. Listen, don't let this pandemic or plandemic, as some people are calling, stop the love. We out.
Bye.
Bye.